Coast as we open a brand new week here, and we have a first time guest standing by in our green room. We have our bumper running, we are recording and streaming. We will start a countdown to Studio 8 starting now. Well, good evening and welcome. This is PJNet.TV. I am Coach Prasick, and tonight, I think we all know people who have served our country, even for long term, but at some point, they retire, they end their active service, they get their DD-214, and return to pretty much civilian life. Not the case for our guest, who we welcome to the big screen. Tim Price has served our country in the United States Army. But the story, your service to our country has yet to end.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Service to mostly vets. You know, the personal interaction with people who have served our country, and we just want to come alongside of them.
You make it sound simple. You look like you might not be a veteran of the Korean War or World War II, but maybe the Vietnam War, right?
Yes, sir. I served in Vietnam in 1968 and 69. Got out of the service in 71. Went on to college and worked in education for about 39 years. And probably during that time, as my kids would say, I hardly ever mentioned the fact that I was in the Army.
Tough years to be in the military.
Oh, I agree 100%. When most of us came back, it wasn't a very pleasant experience. Not congratulations, not welcome home. Mostly people were very anti-war and anti-military. So he ended up suffering the consequences of people's anger towards the war.
How personal? What's the most personal experience you had with that?
I was in the airport in San Francisco. I'd just gotten back and gotten a change of all my gear, getting ready to fly home, first to Chicago, then to Philadelphia, and people were yelling at you. They were baby killer. They spit at you. They called you all kinds of names, simply because you were wearing a uniform. So quickly learned after that not to go through too many airports with a uniform on. Just wear civilian clothes. It was a lot better experience.
Today, it's changed. What do you think was a turning point? How long lived was the anti-war sentiment?
I'd say the anti-war sentiment went up maybe to the 80s, the low 80s.
Yeah, I'm thinking Ronald Reagan.
Yes, and I think I think Ronald Reagan made you proud to be in the military. So I think there was a little turn there, and then later on it became a little bit more a factor that you were honoring your country and people honored you. And I think that those of us that had a negative experience, we wanted to make it a positive experience for other people who had served our country. My nephew, Sean Bajas, told me many times, he's a Marine who just retired, actually, been in for 24 years, but he always said to me, we stood on the shoulders of the Vietnam veterans because you took all the heat for us and made it a way for us that we didn't have to put up with all that stuff. So
now your civilian career. Before I get to that part, now were you drafted into the Army, or did you enlist?
I enlisted. I was very much I guess you could say, a gung ho, small town America. Let's go fight the war, and and win over communism. That's probably what it was in '68 for me.
Did you feel invincible at the time?
Pretty much. You're all the young guys feel that way, and I think that's why you'll find that on the wall of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington D.C., you'll find about 40% of the people that are on that wall are under 20 years old.
Interesting statistic or interesting fact. You said you were teaching when you ended your service in the Army. What did you went to teaching in, like, in a university?
I went to Towson University, and I became a teacher in Baltimore City, and then I did some other jobs related to behavior with children with emotional problems for the city and Baltimore County. So I was very much like a resource person for schools.
So you referred to yourself as a country boy. That's a change of culture, isn't it?
Well, it was a great change of culture. I guess you could say culture shock. Being somewhat liberal in my views, those views turned out to be not very liberal, but somewhat, I guess you could say, ignorance of dealing with people from different cultures.
Where would you put yourself today on the political spectrum?
Probably, I call myself more of an independent. I like some things on both sides.
Okay.
One side I favor a little bit more, I'd say, only because I think one side, and those of you out there probably know what I'm talking about without me saying it, but who respect religion and faith a lot more.
I see some artifacts behind you that look like they have some story to tell.
There's an Army plaque that my wife bought me. There's also a picture, a famous picture called Reflections, which has a man standing at the Vietnam Memorial looking in and seeing the faces of those who he left behind. And there's my my cap from my uniform that we wear a uniform when we go to salute people, and of course the American flag. And right next to that you can't see is also a painting of the prodigal son. So
Get it.
That kind of sums up my journey a little bit.
Am I safe in assuming that, given the climate, or toward the war and toward our veterans, our servicemen and women, when did your mind start turning back toward those years and bring us up to where you are now?
I would say probably in the 2000s. A couple of personal challenges and traumatic experiences in our family made me a little bit more conscious of, I guess you could say, conscious of people's suffering and death. And I became a little bit more, I feel like a little bit more compassionate towards folks. And when the Welcome Home celebration in Maryland started in 2015, Governor Hogan had passed a law, his first law he signed in as governor of Maryland. It was Welcome Home Vietnam Vets Day. And they had a big celebration close to home here, and I went with a friend, Rick Sullivan, rather grudgingly. I didn't want to do it because I had enough stuff to deal with, and I didn't want to think about my past. But that was a very significant moment for me, spending the day there and sort of recalling things and meeting an old friend who was on the wall.
There are how many names on that wall?
Over 58,400.
Okay, so you were reluctant at first. Now, your friend, is he about your age? Did he serve in the Vietnam War? And
yes. Mm-hmm.
And why
Rick Sullivan. I'm sorry.
Why did he single you out? I mean,
Well, we were friends, and we belonged to the same group in church. We had a small group of people that I met through our church, and he said, "Well, I want to go to that. Why don't you go?" And I said, no, "I don't know." And then he said, "Come on, let's just go." And he's a Vietnam vet, so we both went. He had to leave a little early. I ended up staying longer, and I ran into a few people who washed the wall, and they're the 641 Vietnam vets. Wash the wall once a month, and a guy there by the name of Bill Gray, who I told him he's not necessarily a very religious person at all, but when I talk to him, when I see him, I tell him he was God's angel towards me, because I got a message from God through him about going down to the memorial and beginning to deal with some of the stuff from Vietnam.
Let me take a little break here. Tim, I see in the chat room one of our frequent part of our PJNet family, Ben Cooper, the artist that did that painting you referred to behind you, Reflections, actually lives in or near where he lives. So that painting must have some notoriety. And
It does.
also, I'd like to welcome all of you who are joining us in the PJNet.TV chat room. We are so grateful that you've taken some of your time. Those of you watching, either on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, wherever this may be playing, thank you that you stopped scrolling. Thank you for stopping. You're always welcome to join us. You can watch the same program at pjnet.tv in our live chat room. There are several people there ready to become your friend on Facebook or follow you on Twitter, and you will make friends for a lifetime, as many of us have. So you bumped into a fellow involved in washing the wall. So let me, spoiler alert, we went from kind of being drug up there, kicking and screaming by your hair, by a friend, to returning to join in the monthly washing of the wall. How did that transition occur?
Well, when I met Bill Gray, he told me, he encouraged me to go to different parts of this big ceremony. They had a mobile wall, and I went to the mobile wall, and I saw my friend's name on there, Alan Persicki. He died on September 7th, 1969, not too far from me, and it just was something that I realized that I wanted to go to the memorial and honor him at the memorial. So when I was later talking with Bill, he said, "Well, come down." He said, "Here's the dates. I'm looking forward to seeing you." And he was just a very encouraging person, and really cares about vets. He's a former Vietnam vet himself, and he has a Silver Star, Purple Heart. He's a warrior, and if you looked at him, you might not think of that, but he's a good guy, And so he's the one who encouraged me to go down, and in the process of that, I encouraged my friend who brought me to the ceremony to come with me, and another guy who was a Vietnam vet who was a friend of mine, and we sort of got three of us going down there, and eventually we had six of us going. So we were traveling from Baltimore down to DC early in the morning, because we started early in the morning. Had a salute to the flag at 6 o'clock. So we were driving down early in the morning, and we just all became involved in washing the wall and meeting with a variety of different people, which was so healing to me, to be able to finally not just wallow in my sorrow and that was, I was digging up, but to talk with other people who had the same experiences that I did, and help them.
Now, Tim, you said you do this. This is done monthly. Does that mean your involvement is monthly, or they have rotating shifts? How does the logistics of this happen?
Well, the 641st Vietnam veterans wash the wall the first Saturday of every month, and there are other groups that take the other Saturdays.
Okay, so it
So,
gets washed every Saturday, basically.
yes, yes.
Wow.
Every Saturday that the park police are there, and every Saturday that the water works. It is the government, after all. So, yes, that's the intention.
How many people are involved on a typical Saturday?
Oh, I would say it could range from a minimum of maybe 30 to we've had because people just stop by. There are trucks, bus loads of people that come from like Pennsylvania and West Virginia uh, down for the day to do that. So there could be 75 to 100 people there that early in the morning just to wash the wall.
Who's directing all? I mean, what do y'all do? Just have like a high school car wash, bring your buckets
No, the National Park Service of the United States of America brings us brushes, buckets, and hoses, and then we do the rest. It's a wonderful experience.
how long does it take?
Oh, on a good day, maybe 35, 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big wall, Tim.
it's a big wall, but we start at each end of the wall, and work towards the middle, and you can get it done pretty quick if you have good water pressure. And you have that
Yeah.
many people who are taking turns. Nobody's getting tired, and everybody wants to turn. And people want to wash the panel that their loved one is on or their friend is on. Uh, and so when you hear that, you give up your brush and give it to somebody else. And for me, I've been down there so many times. I'd rather see someone who's new get an opportunity, because it is very meaningful to see those names on there and be part of sort of like a cleansing. And if you look at the wall a certain way at a certain time, the water on there looks like a cascade of tears coming down the wall. It really brings out the emotions in you.
I can imagine. Well, it's probably an emotional experience to do that. I'm envisioning a team of people aged from the Vietnam War era doing this. That team is aging.
Yes, sir, they are.
Uh,
I'm a good example of it right here.
I wasn't talking about you, Tim. I'm talking about. I mean, I'm probably older than you are. I mean, I don't know. Maybe um, do you see this, sustaining itself with new generations of people who weren't even involved in the Vietnam conflict, taking part in this in the years and decades ahead?
I do. Only because we do have dedicated people where we've had young kids coming down there from like the Civil Air Patrol, from the Young Marines, and they're 11 years old or whatever, and they take part. So I think as long as we have a good, strong military that people honor and respect, I think that wall will be well taken care of. I'm very optimistic about that.
Well, and it's one of those things when you go to the wall, you don't realize that, without that maintenance, it would soon become uh, less than honorable because things get crusty and dirty and moldy, and we wouldn't want that to. We wouldn't want any tarnishing of the wall to tarnish the legacy of those some 58,000 plus names representing men and women who whose legacy should not be tarnished. And well, Tim, we're just proud of you, Tim. Thank you. I mean, it's heartwarming to know that it's not just you. This it's so many others are doing this.
Well, I think when we think of service, a lot of people don't realize that no matter what small part you are, you're an important part. It's not just the people think, oh, that guy's big and important. It's other people who they consider themselves small, but I think the weak are really the strong. And when we look at people within the faith, or we look at people within organizations, organizations run from the bottom up. The people are doing their jobs, and the people at the top look really good.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tim, it's inspiring to know, and I just pray that God will allow you to continue that well into the years ahead, and you do it with such a happy heart and a thankful heart. And we are thankful for your service and your peers that you served alongside to memorialize those who did not come home. And you've inspired us all. We appreciate you sharing your story here on PJNet.tv, Tim. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
All right.
So if I might.
Okay, hold on. Tim has he just thought it. You're like Columbo, Tim.
Well, I just wanted to give a shout out because after doing this at the Wall, I was invited to work on a committee of Welcome Home Vietnam vets at Gilchrist Hospice. And I got very involved with Gilchrist Hospice. And that's what comes into when I say I'm optimistic about the Wall being taken care of. We, in this mid-generation, are trying to take care of people that are on hospice that are vets. And so Gilchrist has given me the opportunity to exercise my faith in a way that's very different, to meet people who are approaching death, and to honor them. We honor them with a salute to service. And that's why that hat's back there. It's part of my uniform. We show up in uniform and we honor these people, and it's just a wonderful thing for them. But obviously, when you're serving other people, you are much more blessed maybe than they are. So
Amen.
I wanted to give a shout out to those guys.
All right. Tim, thank you, sir. We've enjoyed our time together, and you just keep fighting the good fight. Folks, what an inspiring story, and we're just happy to have Tim and so many others share the screen to share their stories. We have another guest coming your way at the bottom of the hour. Casper Stockham from the great state of Colorado will be joining us, and until he gets here, I've got a little work to do. I think I'm out of coffee. I'm going to challenge you, not that I have any authority over you, but I have challenged myself, and it has really helped propel me through things when it's helped me. It's 2 questions. The first question is this: what is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Second question is, how long ago was that? To move forward in our walk as Christians, we should never allow ourselves to be satisfied with either answer.